ओम सर्वधर्मस्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्मस्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. In Sri Ramakrishna the Great Master, as the spiritual teacher first, we are reading the third chapter now, Sri Ramakrishna as the spiritual teacher. And in this, Saradananda Swamiji has actually philosophically discussed what is Bhavamukti. Though in the first lecture it was only narration. And in second chapter, it was the explanation of the different states of the mind. And there he had touched on that subject. He had touched upon what happens after Nirvikal Samadhi, and he had called it that ripe eye. Ripe eye in the last chapter was two places, remember. After Nirvikal Samadhi, the avatar has come down and remain in ripe eye. That was a different description. And for Sadhak's point of view, he had told ripe eye. Okay. Now, in this chapter, in very great detail, and when we enter depth of philosophy, depth of spiritual experience actually, it has to come as a dialogue. That is a compulsory item. And so it has taken that form now. All the Upanishads are dialogues. So we have to read the fifth para of this chapter. What we have heard in four paras, that generally Thakur had the awareness that Brahman is in everybody. And so he was lowlier than the lowliest, etc. But when he was aware of the needs of people, then Brahman in him was stronger. Then he could feel his Brahmanhood only when there was a need. Because there is a need in the entire universe, so avatar has come. Because there is a need in sadhak's life, so avatar shows that avatar. And so Saradananda Swamiji says, when we see this, and he says this has happened every day, more than once every day. So when we see that, how can we say that he is the lowliest of the lowly? And then he has commented in the fourth para that such apparently contradictory two bhavas, they can exist simultaneously in a person I would not have believed. But we saw it in Sri Ramakrishna. So The common human understanding does not take it. But he saw in Sri Ramakrishna. And he says, because we saw in Sri Ramakrishna, we understand that was the case in other incarnations also. With that now, we enter. Ordinary people thought that the master was a devotee and not a knower of Brahman because of the word bhav. But if one understands what it is to be in bhavamukh and under what conditions it is possible, one cannot assert that. So bhavamukh is a state after nirvikal samadhi. And that is a region of the jnanis. So if you think bhava is emotion, then only bhakti. But bhavamukh actually is a state only after nirvikal samadhi, never before that. And so that is now he is discussing. As soon as people hear that the master used to dwell incessantly in bhavamukh, they generally jump to the wrong conclusion that he was not a man of Vedantic knowledge and that he always lived his life in the midst of the emotional surges of pain and pleasure arising from the separation from and union with the Divine Lord. That is bhav. Especially in India, in Bengal, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had shown all those things. So people immediately jump into that. Though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's inner realization is Advaita, but in his teachings that is not expressed. And Thakur tells always that try the Advaita knowledge in your knot. But a correct appreciation of the present subject is possible if we have a clear grasp of what it is to be in Bhavamukh and under what conditions it is possible. Therefore, let us here discuss briefly once again. That means in that second chapter, he had discussed it. The state of being in Bhavamukh from a different standpoint. So, in details about what is Nirvikal Samadhi and what is Bhavamukh, that he comes to know. Therefore, the reader will recall here that the master attained Nirvikal Samadhi in one day. That we discussed 3 days, 1 day. In 1 day and remained in that state for 3 days and nights at a stretch. Question. What is Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Reply. To bring the mind to the state in which it is completely freed from all mentations. Mentations may be a new word for you. You see, whatever mind does is mentation. Because thinking is different, feeling is different, will is different, imagination is, so many things are there. So this common word is used. Understood? Mentations means whatever mind does is called mentation. To bring the mind to the state in which it is completely freed from all mentation. That means mind has no vritti, mind has no wave. Mind is not doing anything. Mind is there, it has not gone to sleep. It is not doing anything. Question. What are mentations? Now he is describing meditation. Beautiful. You will see now. All the mental modifications, such as the perception of the objects of the external world, consisting of sight states. The Western world is calling it perception, but it is a function of the mind. Perception of the external world cannot happen unless our mind is active. And that mind works through organs of sensation, then it perceives the outside world. So that is also a mentation. Either Upanishad and Brihadaranyaka Upanishad are given beautifully. But here in a very practical way, yes, sometimes. And perception does not mean eyes only. Huh? So he says perception of the objects of the external world consisting of sights, tastes, etc. Shabda sparsha rupa rasa gandha. Then feeling of pain, pleasure, etc. Now this is not the external world, but it is a modification of the mind. Unless the mind is modified, how there will be pain or pleasure? So this is a modification of the mind. Feeling. Imagination. What is imagination? What is? Huh?
Creating with thoughts.
I have discussed sometime. We use feeling, thinking, and there is a limit to this. Okay? Now, to stretch is beyond that limit. That is imagination. Now, Swamiji was going to Raipur in a bullock cart, and he saw two peaks of mountains almost touching each other. And he saw a huge beehive behind on the one of the mountains. Then he started thinking, where is its root? What is the data available for thinking? And his mind started thinking of what is the origin of the whole world, and he was lost in samadhi. So whatever he is seeing and not able to understand by reason, there he is stretching the mind. Science. No discovery of science is based upon the reason, mind you, no discovery. The mind of the scientist is stretched further. There he feels something. He verifies it by his reason, he explains us by reason, but he has not found that by reason. So it is a meditation of the mind. Dhyana. We are asked to meditate on the form of the Holy Mother sitting in your heart, form of Thakur, facing same direction. Can we see that in the beginning? But we are, as you tell, creating. We are stretching the mind to feel that. Discussion. Oh. Vichar Anuman. So Vichar generally more than one man. In Bengali, vichar is not what we in Marathi say thinking. Vichar is a discussion. Discussion word is correct. To find out the depth, that is the vichar. So that is also a meditation, activity of the mind. Inference. This is one himself does. Anuman. Perception, anuman. Both are functions of the mind. And desires. Desires are in the mind only. Desires such as, I will do this, I will understand that, I will enjoy this. Desires also three types he has given. I will do this, that is a sankalpa, you may say. A desire has arisen, so I will do this. Then buddhi desire is there, I will understand this. That is also a desire. I will enjoy this. This is a feeling desire. I will renounce this. That is also a desire. I will enjoy this is the desire. I will renounce it also is a desire. So these are all activities of the mind. And this, as he says, such as, that means these are the examples. There may be many more. But this has given us a fair idea of what is meditation. So first the definition is given. Any activity of the mind is meditation. And to understand what is activities of the mind, all these examples are given. Now, basic question. Nirukal Samadhi, no meditation. What are meditations? These are meditations. Question. On what do these modifications depend for their existence? What is at the root of these meditations? Tell me. You have seen and telling. So this is ingoing thought. Oh, mind has so many activities. But what is their source? Reply. On the knowledge of I. I. Why he has written I? Because, hey, Ami both. I consciousness. Knowledge. He has not written thought. On the knowledge of I. That knowledge is arising. I am somebody. I am. I am. This is the knowledge. And if I is there, meditations will come. If I is not there, meditations will not come. Consciousness will be there. It will be absolute consciousness. That is Nirvikar Samadhi. So Savikalpa Samadhi also depends upon I. Even Am Brahmasri, I is there. Nirvikar Samadhi you cannot, no language. If the consciousness of I vanishes or is stopped altogether for some time, proof that mental modifications depend upon I is that if I is not there, there is no mental modification. So if I vanishes or stopped altogether for some time, there can be no modifications in the mind, nor can it grip the mind during that period. Modifications cannot grip the mind. কোনো বৃত্তি আর মনে খেলা বা রাজত্ব করিতে পারে না। That means mental modifications overpower us. That is not possible there. Question. It is a fact that in the condition of swoon or deep sleep, also the knowledge of I vanishes. Is Nirvikal Samadhi then something like that? This is the commonest feeling, that in deep sleep or in swoon. Reply, no. The heading says, mental modifications depend for their existence on I consciousness. There is Savikalpa Samadhi when it disappears partially. I disappears partially. And Nirvikalpa Samadhi when it vanishes completely. The difference between Samadhi and deep sleep or swoon. No, in swoon or deep sleep, the consciousness of I continues inwardly. In swoon or deep sleep. Deep sleep, you get a memory. And there is a memory unless there is a consciousness. And what is the memory? Sometimes I told 2 sentences to write down for deep sleep. I knew nothing. I slept happily. This describes our complete memory of the deep sleep. I knew. That means that I consciousness was there. There was nothing to be known. I slept. Slept meaning Indriya's mind not working. So I slept. Happily. The experience of happiness also was there. So from that, he says, take that. I knew. So you cannot say that I was not there. No, same we have to think what soon. The consciousness of I continues inwardly, but the instrument called the brain, with the help of which the mind has the consciousness, becomes inactive and ceases to function for some time. There is nothing to express that I consciousness. Mind is not functioning. Brain is not functioning. So nothing to express that I consciousness. That is, all the modifications continue to crowd at the bottom of the mind. How? Thakur's example is giving. The master gave the example of pigeons sitting with inflated throats after eating peas and koi. You think there is nothing within their throats. But if you feel them with your hand, you will find peas all crowded there. Proof, when you come back, all of them come. From where they had gone? I remember a funny incident. One simple boy, simpleton you may say, unmarried, used to attend our classes. Now he heard this and he says, what is this funny thing? The moment I get up, subject object start. Because it is there inside. Question. How am I to know that the I consciousness continues in that way in swoon or deep sleep? The result of samadhi is knowledge, increase of bliss, and the realization of God. This is not there if the I consciousness is there. Reply, by observing the result. Phalena parichiyate, that is a statement. Anything can be known properly by its cause, status, and effect. So here we are not able to enter there. So effect. For example, on those occasions, the heartbeat, if I consciousness is not there, heartbeat would have stopped. That happens in Thakur, Nirvikal Samadhi. In sleep or swoon, heartbeat has not stopped. Prana functions. The pulse, the circulation of blood, etc. is going on. That prana function are not stopped. All these physical activities to take place centering around the I consciousness. Moreover, although the external signs of swoon or deep sleep are somewhat similar to those of samadhi, when man returns to the ordinary waking state, the amount of knowledge and bliss continues to exist as before. Before he went to sleep, he had some knowledge and he had some joy. That is the same meaning concept. That is there, that there is not the least increase or decrease. For example, the lust of the lustful remains as it was. So does the anger of the angry, the greed of the greedy, and so on. But when the state of nirvikal samadhi is attained, these modifications cannot raise their heads anymore. Why cannot raise their heads is the language? Sometimes a shadow is there, but only a shadow. For example, if you cut away a branch of the tree or the leaf of a tree, the dag is there, that spot. If you burn a rope, that twist is there. So there may be an appearance of that, but it cannot raise its head because it is not real. And extraordinary knowledge and infinite bliss fill the mind center. Mind. Infinite bliss, extraordinary knowledge. Such as whether there is a next world or whether God exists. No, one word remains. Fill the mind and doubts such as whether it is a next world or whether God exists vanish forever on account of direct relation of God, the cause of the universe. This is also an important point. Chidyante sarva samshaya. Does it mean that the common doubts are not there? Suppose you have sent a messenger somewhere. Has he gone or not? That doubt will be there. Understood? This many people make a mistake. Shukadev had knowledge given by his father, but he doubted. So he was sent to Janaka. This somebody, when they read that, he said, how is this possible? Shukadev had no doubt that the world is real or not. But has my father kept something because of a attachment? Is there some higher knowledge? This was the doubt. So he went to Janaka. Father sent him. Because father thought, I cannot resolve this doubt now. So he sent him to Janaka, and Janaka arranged certain things. Nobody received him. After 3 days, everybody received him, and like that. And he was given a cup of milk or something. And dance was going on, and he was to take a round. And no drop came out. So Janaka proved that this is the effect of this. So that doubt was gone. But doubt about God exists, is there a next world? This vanishes forever on account of direct relation of God, the cause of the and cause of the universe also is there. Tasmin drishte paravare. That means the moment he comes down from Nirvikal Samadhi, he sees the same God everywhere. Question. Yes, I see. The I consciousness completely vanished for some time. When the master was in Nirvikal Samadhi, but what then? Reply. Then when the I consciousness vanished this way, he had for some time the direct vision of the Divine Mother, the cause of the universe. You understand it? Direct vision? Our vision is through the senses. Our vision is through the mind. So direct means aparoksh. Direct. Direct vision is always I am that. Not that I see that. I see that is not direct. And then cause of the universe. So mother is not a figure for him. Mother is not just living in that murti. Mother is not a deity. Mother is the cause of the world, Ishwar. And he has the direct realization. Not satisfied with that 3-day vision, he tried to have it eternally. This was peculiar with Thakur. So he's talking about that after 11 months he decided that. Question. What was the state of the master's mind as a result of that attempt, and what were the signs manifested in his body indicating that state? Here I told you that Nirvikal Samadhi is not a continuous affair. That he is explaining now. Wonderful scripture. The vision and experience of the master during his Nirvikal Samadhi of 6 months. Reply. Sometimes by the complete merging of I consciousness, externally, the symptoms of death appeared on the body. And internally, the unobstructed vision of the mother continued. Externally, Pran Mutti stopped. That does not mean his consciousness gone. Internally, the direct vision of the mother. Direct always means beyond the mind. No? It is called vision of the mother in the common language. Sometimes again with the reappearance of a little I consciousness, there are grades. Symptoms of life return slightly. And the vision of the Divine Mother continued, though a little obstructed, because of the intervention of the screen of the mind. This is the description. A little I consciousness, function of the mind, vision of the mother, but little obstructed. That means I and mother separated. But mother is in vision, constant vision. Because of the intervention of the screen of the mind, which was then pure, transparent, and holy, owing to the preponderance of Sattva. So Rajatama is not functioning. Restlessness is not there, inertia is not there. But pure holy screen, that's all. Thus, sometimes there was the vanishing of the I consciousness, the complete cessation of mental modifications, and the full direct vision of the Divine Mother. Again, sometimes there was the coming into existence of a little I consciousness, the manifestation to a small extent of the modifications of the mind, and simultaneously a slightly obstructed vision of the Divine Mother happened again and again. Again and again, this is happening. Question: how long did he continue to make that attempt? Reply: continually for 6 months. Attempt, that means when the mind comes down, he again wants to go there. Miracles. Question: 6 months, how then did his body last? For a human body cannot last without food for 6 months. And you also say that although the master's I consciousness came into existence now and then during that period, it never manifested itself in his body to such an extent that activities like the taking of food were possible. How his body lasted during a period of the complete cessation of his I consciousness? Reply: it is true that his body would not have lasted. And there was in his mind not the slightest desire to let the body last for any time. But his body lasted because the Mother of the Universe wanted to manifest her wonderful spiritual powers through his body for the good of the many. See, in the Ishvara's mind, something is there. Question: that may be so. But did the mother assume a form and come to feed the master by force for those 6 months? Because when they are talking of mother, did she come? A yogi came, understood the master's condition and fed him by force. Reply: yes, it was somewhat like that. Mother can take any form. Somewhat like that. For a holy man came of himself at that time. Nobody knows from where. He clearly understood that the master's state, which was almost like that of a dead man, was the result of his practice of yoga and of his feeling of oneness with the Divine Lord. The holy man stayed for those 6 months at the Kali temple and tried to bring the master down to a little body consciousness, even by striking his body. Where all these things came in? And when the holy man saw that a little consciousness was returning, he would immediately thrust a morsel of food or two into the master's mouth. We do not know why the holy man felt unusual eagerness and took unusual interest in keeping alive an altogether unknown person who was dead and inert to all appearances. But it is only such events as these that are said to be brought about by the will of God. Everything happens by will of God, but that which you cannot rationally explain, we say will of God. Therefore, what else shall we say except that such an impossible event become possible by the direct will and power of the Divine Mother, in order that the Master's body might be kept alive. Question. Yes, I see. What then? That means 6 months it continued like that. After that 6 months, where he went, that also we do not. So why not think Mother herself has taken a form? The command of the Mother of the universe remain in Bhavu after 6 months. Now the mind is not coming down. So where will that command be? Reply. Then the Mother of the universe or the Divine Lord or the cosmic consciousness who is manifested as the universe, pervading in and through all beings, saint and nascent, and appears as diverse names and forms, Ishvara's Varna. Commanded the master remain in Bhavama. Ishvara, all this description. Divine Mother of the universe, or the Divine Lord, or the cosmic consciousness, who is manifested as the universe, pervading in and through all beings, saint and nascent, and appears as diverse names and forms. All this is Ishvara. Commanded the master remain in Bhavamu. Question, what is that again? There exists in the reality, which is one without a second, a difference in itself, consisting of the aspects of Saguna and Nirguna, and also the Virat I-ness pervading the universe. It is this universal I-ness that is Ishvara, or the Divine Mother. And by it are brought about the world phenomena. Beautiful Shastra here. Reply, it shall be narrated. What is that Bhavamukhi? But to comprehend what Bhavamukhi is, it is necessary to understand as far as possible with the aid of imagination. You see, we cannot understand by reason. We have to stretch it. With the aid of imagination, the then state of the master. We have said that at that time, the I consciousness of the master sometimes vanished altogether and sometimes reappeared just a little. Even when the little of I consciousness returned, the universe did not appear to him as it appears to us. Because our mind and our indriyas function, so universe appears like this. The world appeared to him as an immense mind, in which innumerable waves of ideas were rising, surging, and merging. Mind like an ocean. Waves are rising, surging, and merging. The master's own body, mind, and I consciousness, not to speak of those of others, seem to be but a component wave in that immense mind. He is experiencing immense mind in which waves are rising. In that his own body mind is a wave. Others' body minds are waves. That is his perception. In that state, the master had the direct experience and vision of the real nature of that universal consciousness, Sagun Brahma, and power as one without a second. One without a second, but experienced that much. An experiencer is there. As living and wide awake, and as the creator of all wills and actions. That means this is not imagination, eh? As living and wide awake, because his consciousness is always there. And as the creator of all wills and actions. All wills and actions are waves of his mind, that universal mind. as the mother of infinite grace. So this is called mother. And infinite grace, that is Krupamaya. The same mother whom the self-styled materialistic scholars of the West, looking through their clouded intellects and the material instrument, view as inert and insentient, though they admit it is one. That means there is a common reality in the world, they also admit. But because of their methods, they think it is matter. But then you consciousness, if it is a common reality, it should be the reality of the consciousness also. But in Nirvikal Samadhi, it is seen that it is the consciousness and all power. The master saw further, he straight away called the scientists fools. The master saw further that the one without a second is itself divided in two aspects. Saguna with attributes and Nirguna without attributes. That means inside his mind is like this, so he is seeing that Nirguna and Saguna. He is clearly aware that Nirguna and Saguna are same because he is almost simultaneously seeing them both, alternately. When he is seeing Nirguna, is not seeing Saguna. When he is Saguna, he is not seeing Nirguna. That means both of them are one only. If both were different, then he would have seen both of them together. It is this that is called a difference in itself. Swagata Bhed. That means there is no outside thing. Nah? Inside that Brahman or Ishvara, there are different things. It is given here, difference in itself, Swagata Bhed. In the scriptures, that an immense I-ness pervading everything from Brahma down to the lowest created being was manifested in it. This is the way that Brahma to grass, everything is born in that, in the mind. He saw that an infinite number of waves of ideas was rising in that cosmic mind, that the limited eyes of men perceived these waves of ideas in parts and mistook them as the external world. That means I am a wave, you are a wave. For me, you are outside. If I had realized that like that, then I would have realized that we are not two different. We are both ideas in the universal mind. But that time my vision is obstructed. And that because of their inability to grasp and understand the unlimited I, the limited ones regard themselves as possessed of free will and power of action. That is, something is there in them. So they feel free because they do not see universal at all. It is this spiritual blindness that is called in the scriptures avidya or ignorance. It is this universal I-ness existing between the aspects of Saguna and Nirguna that is not fully manifested still. That is called Bhavamukha. For infinite ideas owe their manifestation to that all-pervading I-ness. So, origin of those mukh of all bhavas. This universal I is the I of Ishvara or the Mother. In their attempt to describe the nature of this immense I, the Vaishnava teachers of Bengal have called it the divine Sri Krishna, the embodiment of pure consciousness, which is of the nature of an inconceivable difference in non-difference. Chaitanya's philosophy. So there is no difference, but there is difference. Now it is below Nirvikal Samadhi, na? Anyway, but they take that as the ultimate truth. Achintya Veda Ved. Ved is there, Aved is there, and we cannot think what is their relation. Beautiful. Now, the doubt arises. The so-called Vedantists will say Nirvikalpa, Nirvikalpa. No Saveta Ved. But then how you are talking? The master's experience in the Nirvikalpa state and in the Savikalpa or Bhavamukha state. Now understand Thakur's Bhavamukha. When the I consciousness of the master vanished altogether, he remained in oneness with the unqualified being of the Divine Mother. Unqualified being of the Divine Mother. That is Trigunatit. Beyond the limits of this all-pervading I. And with the vanishing of this ubiquitous I, what is ubiquitous?
Present everywhere.
Huh?
Present everywhere.
All-pervading. And with the vanishing of this ubiquitous I, vanished also the last vestige of the infinite waves of ideas in the I waves which go by the name of the universe. So that is universe, the waves. And when that is gone, then they are gone. Again, when a little of I consciousness manifested itself in him, he saw both the Saguna immense I and all the ideas in it united with the Nirguna aspect of the wonderful. That is why I said in between. This is very rare, not described in Vedanta. That means after Nirvikal Samadhi, you see all. But in between, there is a place where Nirguna still exists. And a little of this has come. Bij, Ankur, even not Bij, Avyakta. In other words, as soon as he attained the Nirguna state, the existence of the difference in itself, in that one without a second vanished, only master's consciousness. So that Achintya Vedaved is not final, he vanished. And when he was conscious of that Saguna immense I-ness, he felt that that which was then Shakti was verily that Brahman. What is the Shakti? Brahman itself is manifesting like this, na? We call it Shakti. Brahman has the power to manifest like this, na? That we call Shakti. And there he places the Divine Mother. So Shakti was verily that Brahman. Saguna was indeed that which Nirguna was. Prakriti, the material cause of the universe, was really that which Purusha, pure consciousness, was. So all the terms he has used. That is the junction point. The snake that was motionless was then moving. That is, that which was Nirguna in its own nature was really Saguna in sport. That is called sport. Swarupa Nirgun, Leela is Saguna. After he had the full different philosophies, so all terms he has used. After he had the full direct vision of the nature of the Divine Mother in the combined aspects of Nirguna and Sagun, the master got the command remain in Bhavamukha. That is, do not remain as the nirguna being by the complete merging of I-ness. But live your life and do good to people, living in constant and full direct knowledge of the fact that you are none other than that limitless I, from which all kinds of ideas in the universe spring, and that your desires and actions are verily its desires and actions. Desires and actions of the universal mind. Remain in bhava, its meaning. Now is in the meaning. Remain. Thus, to have the direct experience and conviction or feeling. This is loosely talking, conviction, feeling, realization, experience is there. Thus, to have the direct experience and conviction or feeling in all respects, at all times, and in all states, not emotion. That I am that immense I, that ripe I. Is the meaning of remaining in Bhava. To have this direct experience, feeling, conviction is Bhava. When one reaches the state of Bhavamukh, all the ideas such as I am the son of so and so, I am the father of so and so, I am a Brahmin, I am a Shudra, and so on, are completely washed up from anything related to body and separateness. And no sign of them is left. And one always feels that one is that immense I pervading the vast, inconceivable universe. The Master therefore always taught us, my children, all the I's such as I am the son of so and so, I am the father of so and so, I am a Brahmin, I am a Shudra, I am a Pandit, I am rich and so on, are unripe I's. Conclusion for ordinary man. They bring about bondage. Give up these and think I am his devotee, I am his son, and I am a part of him. Keep this mood firm in your mind. Or he would say, tie the non-dual knowledge, Advaita Gyan, the hem of your cloth, and then do whatever you like. Whatever you like means any sadhana. Om Sarvadharma Stapakasvam Sarvadharma Swarupaka Acharyana Mahacharyo Ramakrishna Te Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hare Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. One point will be discussed more. That dualism, Ishtadvaita and all that. How all of them are states of the mind that you will describe.